We're back playing with our beavers, and since the last time you've seen us, we're a bit more advanced. We've just come to the end of another drought, which are becoming a bit more severe, but we're still kind of managing through them. But we are now on day 1 of cycle 9, and I'm sure things can only get better. Food, as always, is forever going to be an issue here, but when is it never not? And whenever the water finally returns, then hopefully our water supplies will start going up a bit. But overall, although it doesn't look that great at the moment, things are actually going pretty well here just now. And whenever I say we're a bit more advanced, what I mean is that we actually have up a better prepared industry area. So we have some buildings here making us planks and some buildings making us gears here, which will then take us on nicely to what I want to do today. I want to play around with some dynamite, which means that we're going to require an explosives factory in order to make them, and to make the factory itself we are going to require 30 planks, 30 gears and 30 metal ingots. The planks and gears hopefully won't be too much of an issue for us. The metal ingots are going to require a bit more work to get, but that's where these ruined cities then come into play. We'll need to unlock the scavenger flag just to collect some metal scraps, as well as a shredder building to turn the scrap metal into the metal ingots, which both of these builds are going to require 550 science points to get. But we definitely have a few spare science points to spend. Our population is all over the shop. We are forever having beavers die of hunger and then instantly having a nice baby boom as well. So our workforce is up and down, but we are eventually climbing up here and we are now at nearly 90 beavers, which should hopefully definitely be enough workforce just for us to continue on with our plans here today. But I think to begin with, we really need to sort out the food. We're growing carrots here, which are an okay source of food. It's enough just getting us by at the moment. We do have some more fields up making potatoes for us, which they will then take away to our grill house, which will turn them into grilled potatoes for us, for a bit more hunger saturation. But I think it's the wheat here that we are growing which is maybe going to save us here, because we can unlock a grist mill building which can grind the wheat down into flour for us, and then we can unlock a bakery as well which will turn that flour into some bread for some even more hunger saturation. So let's start here by unlocking the grill mist as well as our bakery. And I think I'm going to set these buildings somewhere over in this area here which isn't being used, but these buildings will also require some power in order to operate, which, because they will be a little bit away from the water and the water wheels for power, I think instead we should turn to wind and maybe unlock some of these windmills. In fact, we will unlock the cheaper of the two just for 120 science points and get the smaller windmill. We'll set them up something like this, which as the buildings are connected, they will share the power that they generate. The grist mills are going to require 60 horsepowers of energy to work, and the windmills, whenever they do operate, can provide us with double that of 120. So hopefully a setup like this will then work, but we will see. Storage is another issue that I have noticed. I mean, we do have 1400 wheat inside our storage units at the moment, but hopefully some of these larger warehouses here will be able to cope with all of our storage needs. But just in case it isn't, I have unlocked the underground warehouse, which is going to give us 4000 storage capacity. So let's place a building like that, maybe just right there, which is going to require a lot of logs, planks and gears to make, but hopefully the build will be worth it, just once again to help us with our storage needs here. The last thing that I want is our beavers to all just starve to death because we don't have any storage inside our warehouses due to it being full of wheat. He says that knowing it well from experience. Well, while our beavers build or don't build whatever I've asked them to do there, let's look into even more buildings for them to do. The dynamite from our explosives factory are going to require 3 pieces of paper in order to make it, which paper is a wooden product made within a paper mill, so we're going to need to place down some of these buildings, which are fairly straightforward, only requiring 40 logs, 40 planks and 15 gears. Plus, it's pretty cheap on the science front as well, so let's unlock our paper mills. And I will just set these buildings right behind our gears there, just so that they are all connected to our power grid. And for 400 science points, we will also unlock the explosives factory, which ideally would also go somewhere around here. I might need to tidy things up a little bit, which hopefully that will do. We even have enough room to put in a windmill for some extra power. But I think this whole area is now set up just to turn some logs straight into some dynamite. So now all we need to do is set up the metal scraps, which will go towards making them, which we will deal with just after we accumulate a few more science points, I think. For the moment then, our beavers have plenty to do, so I'll just let them get on with it. Well, we're now on day 14, and of course we now have a drought incoming, so we will see how we fare with this one. I do get the feeling that food is maybe going to be the killer here, but we are very close to getting our very first grist mill up and working here, just to turn our wheat into some flour. If only we then had our bakery up and working as well, we could actually then use that flour to turn it into some bread. So I certainly hope our beavers are going to enjoy living off of carrots and berries for this drought. I get the feeling this is about to be a very, very bad one. But that is our mill now up, and our beavers are supplying it with the wheat. It doesn't yet have any power unfortunately, so it's not going to operate. But we will see here. I'm still not very optimistic. Well, that's the drought now started, and we have 99 beavers within our colony. So, let's see how many we end this with. And of course this drought is a particularly nasty one. It's going to last about 8 days. Ay ay ay. Alright then guys, let's see if we can get as much done as we can quickly here, because we are really going to struggle with this one, I reckon. You know, for as pessimistic as I have been about all of this, we are actually surviving this pretty nicely. The water is now gone completely here, so we are on the last reserves of our water. Food-wise, it's really just up and down, similar to our population actually. But maybe we have just done enough here just to get us through these droughts. We have another 2.5 days to go before we really find that out. So far though, maybe not too bad. Well, to my amazement, we actually went through that pretty severe drought there without a single death from starvation or dehydration, just some old age deaths, which is absolutely fine. So I am definitely impressed guys, well done. So I can see the water now starting to return, which will hit our little industrial bit just in a second and get those wheels going. So that's power now back on, which means we can continue on making these parts. We definitely have amassed a little bit of science points now, so let's go ahead with the scavenger flag for our metal, as well as our shredder building. And we will migrate probably about 30 beavers over into our second district, and they can then start collecting some of these metal scraps for us. The second district's reach is to about here, so let's put the scavenger flags just about here as well, and hopefully they will be able to take care of the ruined city. The shredder building is quite interesting actually. Let's place down one here and maybe another right beside it. And these are going to require some planks, some gears and some scrap metal to make, and are going to take a whopping 250 horsepower each in order to operate. So we will probably send some planks and gears from our first district over, and they are obviously then going to take care of the scraps for us. So all we really need to worry about is power here, which I think we will probably just go for some more wind at the moment, just until we can find some better sources of power. In fact, I think we'll save up for the larger windmill just to produce even more power, and that should definitely then sort out the power for these builds. So we just need to wait on our science points accumulating up again, and in the meantime we will just need to get this second district here back up and running. Because of all of our water wheels here, our gear workshops are pretty efficient. This one here is nearly 80% efficient. So if we could get some more power over here, then we can definitely start producing a lot of parts very quickly from this area, which the quicker we do, then the sooner we get to play with some explosives. We now have one of our bakeries up, which should be turning the flour into some bread for us, just for some more food, which is definitely required because we have a lot more wheat to go through here just to turn it into some flour. So I may need to make a lot more of these grist mills just to convert the wheat into flour for us, because our storage is full here. And I get the feeling I know why. Yep, nearly 1,000 wheat just inside this one. Right, my little farmer beavers. I'm thinking instead of you growing wheat, you should maybe move on to make some carrots instead. At least we can then eat the carrots rather than this wheat that we can't do anything with until it's processed. I swear you can just blink at times in this game, and before you know it, there's another bloody drought incoming. Although even though there is a drought incoming, our supplies aren't looking too bad here actually. We have water for absolute days, and thanks to our flour becoming bread, we are starting to get a nice stockpile of food as well. Okay then, I'm a bit more optimistic for this round. And in better news, we finally have up all of the water wheels that we were making, so we have 100% efficiency for our power inside our workshops. At least until we start getting up the paper mills and explosive factories, but I'm pretty happy with that. The drought has begun, but we still have some water flowing down here at least. Well, not a lot, but some, just to keep these buildings going. And thanks to this dam here, we also have a lot of water now just staying in this area here, keeping us part of our second district hydrated. We also now have over 1400 science points, so let's unlock our large windmills just to get some more power, which we will place here for our shredder buildings, and that should definitely be enough power just to keep them up and operational once they're built. Although I've seen that in order to make the large windmills, we're going to require planks, gears and paper, which paper we aren't actually making yet, but our beavers are starting to make progress on the paper mill, so it really shouldn't be too much longer until we actually do start making it. Speaking of making things actually, that is a shredder builder now up. So it's going to take in some scrap metal and create these metal ingots or metal blocks from them. The only thing that we will need to establish first is getting some power into it, which will then require some paper to make these large windmills over in this district. So we're still kind of highly reliant on the industry buildings over here. And just like that, the drought has ended with again not a single death. Okay, we are definitely surviving these droughts a lot better than I thought we were going to. We have our first paper mill now up, so soon we will be able to start producing some paper, but then we can start being able to make some of these larger windmills and then sending paper over to this district as well, just to sort out theirs. And finally then be able to send it away to our explosives factory, just to make some lovely dynamite. Things are actually going super well here today. I am very surprised and very pleased. We have one of our large windmills now up and running here, so this should be producing power for our shredders. And I can see some beavers slowly starting to take some items into these shredders, so hopefully soon we will actually start producing these metal ingots. Well, what I'm going to do in preparation for that is start a new distribution route from our District 2 over to our District 1 of these metal blocks. So then this district will handle our metal items for us, send it over to our first district, which hopefully eventually will then come over to our explosives factory, just so then we can start actually making these things. We have the two shredder buildings now up and working for us. I get the feeling that because we only have the one large windmill, the efficiency won't be great, but at least we will be producing these bars. We have about 50% efficiency, which is actually a lot better than I was expecting. A couple more gears for this windmill, and then we should get that up to 100%. Well, we just survived another drought there, and absolutely nothing happened, so we are definitely equipped now to handle these fine. In other news though, our explosives factory is nearly up and ready. we are just waiting on a few more gears coming in, and that'll be it. And I cannot wait to start playing around with some dynamite. In fact, that's the building just completed there. So we just need a worker inside it now, and then we can start producing these dynamites. Unfortunately, we do have a worker inside it with a 100% efficiency build, so with free paper, we are now starting to produce our dynamites. Well, this is going to be our first test area here for our explosives, so we are going to need quite a lot of them over in our second district. So we will just once again set up another distribution route purely for explosives. But I am then hoping that water will then be able to flow through whatever mess that we've made there and come into this middle well, which should hydrate quite a bit of area just around it. And then if we can use some more explosives just to tunnel our way through the rest of these lands here, I'm sure we'll be able to hydrate a lot more of the land and expand out even further. Everything here is just working like absolute clockwork. Well, we now have our second explosives factory up and working for us as well, so we can produce explosives at an even faster rate. Not that we really need to be honest with you, because we've nearly got this little line of these explosives already made, which has been incredibly fast to do. Damn, you beavers have done me proud today, and I think all of our good productivity is maybe due to the fact that we now nearly have 200 beavers working for us. Our food here is really no longer an issue. Holy crap, that's a lot. And water really just hasn't been an issue whatsoever today. The only complaint I think I have is the lack of logs. But they are working on that, so I suppose I really can't complain too much. And the beaver here is putting in the very last explosive for us, so yes, once he's clear from here, let's get this party started. Right. Let's detonate these then, and hopefully this idea will work. So they're just doing them in a kind of pattern here, which is fine. A nice line all the way down to the water, which then is going to rush down here and hydrate all of this land. Absolutely perfect. Just look at how much land is now going to start getting hydrated here. That's even better, and I can see it's still coming, so even more of it will eventually become green. Holy crap, look how much more of the land is now hydrated around here. This was all dried out and dead before, but just because of this well now being filled up, it's all hydrated and usable for crops and other things. And just in time actually, because another drought is incoming. But I really don't think we've got too much to worry about now. We are probably going to need to experiment a bit more with some of these other landscaping items, just so that we can have the water flow through into different areas of this map, but with our beavers still being able to traverse over it. But I think our next experiment will be just blowing up the land here, which I'll just do to the edge, because I reckon that we might need a few explosives a few levels down, just to keep this water flowing through. Well, they've set up a few explosives here, just one more to go, but I'm also pretty impatient, so let's detonate these. And yes, we will definitely need to put in some more explosives just to allow that water just to keep flowing through. Okay, so this potential plan to hydrate a lot more land around here could potentially work, but we're basically just going to need to make a lot of trenches, which will mean that we will need a lot of dynamite, but I'm pretty sure that we are now equipped to be able to handle all of that. So explosives are definitely the hero of today's episode, not our beavers, although in saying that, our beavers have done a pretty good job today. But I reckon with a bit more explosives and a bit of time, we can definitely start transforming all of this land around here and expanding out our little beaver colony even further. So let's end this episode on a positive note just as the drought starts, where our beavers are going to be absolutely fine and in fact are most likely going to start thriving from here on in. So definitely a nice positive end to this episode.